See, children, it's there on your screen. Yes. Okay. So the story is Moments. And in the book Moments, I think everybody of you have this. Wait, I think every one of you have got this book. Is it, children? Yes. So the fifth number story, it means already 50% of syllabus we have completed. Now in this will be the fifth one. So after this, we will complete at least 50% syllabus in your beehive. Afterwards, we will continue with grammar part. So Moments, The Happy Prince, and the writer is a very, very famous writer. The name of the writer is Oscar Wilde. The next is, okay, so there is a small description which is given on the top of the story in red color letters in your book. So you can see it on my screen also. I will just enlarge the letters if it's visible, fine. That will be okay. So the Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. So if we see the title, we may think that this is the story of a prince who was very happy or something. But once we start reading the story, we come to know that this story is about a prince. A prince, not exactly a prince, but about a statue of a prince. The Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. Why it is beautiful, you will come to know. The rest of the story you will see, but here a little bit of the description. In the starting 4 lines is given, he was covered with gold. So the statue of the prince, why it was beautiful? First of all, it was made very, very beautifully. He was covered with gold. He was covered with gold means from top to bottom, it was covered with golden leaves. You'll see later on also, we'll see the description. So this beautiful statue, it used to shine like anything, and it had spire. What is that? For eyes. This is a very, very precious stone. A very precious stone were studded in his eyes. So his eyes were made of precious stones. And ruby. Ruby is also a very, very costly stone. Ruby is a very costly stone, and it was there studded in his sword. It was fixed in his sword. And sword, you know, it's, if you can see in your book, there is one statue. And yes, I'll show you this here. I also have got it. Yes, you can see the statue on your screen, kids. Right, and you can see this statue, it is looking all over gold, and there is one long sword is in his hand. This is a kind of a weapon which mostly the kings and princes, and in olden times people used to keep with them to protect themselves and to fight with the so it was like they used to use this sword, and this sword was very beautifully made, and it was studded with ruby. So there was one very precious stone. Ruby was also there. Why did he want to part with all the gold that he had? But for the whole world, that was a lifeless statue. But that statue was, I mean, live, actually live. It had feelings, only that it could not move, right? So why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? Just go through these lines. Quickly go through these lines. Ma'am, can you please tell Bhaskar to stop it? It is just behind me and disturbing me, ma'am. Bus for this class, ma'am. So we are moving to the next. wait, yeah. So children, you can see in your book also, you keep on writing all the word meanings there, and we will read this story. Yeah, Srijan, okay, wait, I'll have to check what you are saying. Wait, I shall come back. Actually, I need to wait. Srijan, you were saying something? I shall wait. Srijan, you can unmute yourself. I have given you permission. You can unmute yourself. Yes, Srijan.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of sapphires, ma'am? Here he had
That is,
sapphires for eyes.
it is a precious stone. Sapphire. It is sapphire. Okay.
Uh, means sapphire for eyes means what does it mean, ma'am?
Sapphire for eyes, you can imagine, Shrijan, that there is a statue, a beautiful statue of a prince, and that statue is full of gold. Means the whole statue is covered with golden leaves. And where the eyes are there, the eyes are made of very, very precious stone. And what is that precious stone? That is
Sapphire.
sapphire. Is it understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So and in the very same way, his sword is also there, and in the on the handle you will come across one word there, hilt, Hilt. Hilt is that upper part of the sword, right? That is called hilt. And there is one more precious stone there, right? That is a very, very precious stone. Yeah, kind of a diamond, right? Sapphire. Is this understood, Vishnu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I shall again go back to this and I shall present my screen. That, wait. Anybody wants to ask anything?
Ma'am, your voice is somewhat low,
Your
ma'am.
voice is low,
Yes,
ma'am.
wait. Actually, I am starting this PPT because I had to unmute you. I have lost it. Don't worry, I'll get it back. By that time, if you have any problem, you can ask me, children.
Ma'am, in which book, ma'am? Movements or behave?
When I started, no, before that only I told that it is in moments. Please open your book and the page number is 28. 28 page number. You can see on my screen also, but children, you can open your books also. Is it visible to everyone now?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So I'm repeating, the happy prince was a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphires for eyes and a ruby in his sword. Why did he want to part means get separated. Keep on writing the word meanings at the same time when I'm explaining it. Why did he want to part with all the gold and he had as I told you, that the whole statue was covered with golden leaves. And but there was a reason that why this prince, the statue of the prince, wanted to get separated from the complete gold which it was covered with, and his precious stones. Right, children? Now you can see in your book also, you can either see on the screen, it's clearly there. So high above the city, you can imagine that there is a city, and on a very high place there, they had made a tall column. Column is a pillar. A tall pillar is there, and a strong big pillar is there. And on the top of that pillar, there is a statue made. A statue stood on that pillar. So I shall wait, children. Okay. So high above the city, on a tall column, as I told you, the column is a pillar, okay? A pillar, a tall pillar, a strong and a big pillar, stood the statue of the happy prince. He was gilded all over, decorated, underlined. Write down the meaning. He was covered and decorated all over with thin leaves. Thin means very uh, light, very light leaves of delicate leaves of fine gold. It was covered with gold. And in place of his eyes, to make it more beautiful, to make it more precious, to make it more shiny, to make it more costly, the people had made the eyes with the two bright sapphires. Sapphires, as I told you, is a very precious stone. It's a kind of a diamond. So with these two diamonds, very bright eyes of the prince's statue were made. And a large red ruby. Ruby, again, I told you, it's a red color stone, which is very costly stone. Sometimes you must have seen people wearing those stones on their fingers, right? Which are related to their, sun sign or moon sign or something, right? So red rubies glowed. So one red ruby, which was a very costly stone, which glowed, underline glowed word, it means it was shining on his sword hilt. Hilt, I told you, the upper part, this is near the handle, so that it was made beautiful with one more precious stone, ruby. One night, there flew over the city a little swallow. Swallow is a bird, right? Swallow is a bird, and there is a homophone for swallow. Swallow is when we are drinking water or we are eating something, and when it passes through our throat is also the activity which is called swallow. So one night there flew over the city a little bird, and the bird is swallow bird. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before. This bird, these are migratory birds. They migrate from place to place as per the seasons. Where there is very cold, they will move to that country where it is comfortable. When the cold reaches there, they will move to. So different places they keep on moving throughout the year. So they are called the migratory birds. They migrate from places to places. So one night, there flew over the city a little bird swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt. So where they are moving? They are moving to Egypt. 6 weeks before they had gone. But he stayed behind because he was maybe busy with something else, or maybe flying slow, or maybe just enjoying the scenes and moving slowly. So he was left behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. Because his all friends had gone, later on he realized, who is he? He is a bird. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. Explanation of this paragraph is over, children. I am reading it. If there is any problem, you can raise your hand. You can ask me the questions. I'm reading the whole paragraph again. High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the happy prince. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. For eyes, he had two bright sapphires, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. One night, there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. I'm moving to the next. Yeah. All day long he flew. For the whole day, this bird kept on flying. And at night time, he arrived at the city. It was flying from some one place. It had to go to Egypt. So the bird was flying. Because it was night time, so the bird came there. And at night time, he arrived at the city. And the bird said to himself, what I should do, where shall I put up? Put up means, where should I spend this night? Where should I live for this night? I hope the town has made preparations. He said, the bird said, I think the town has made all the preparations. Then the bird saw the statue on a tall column. I will put up here means I will stay here for this night, today at least, under this statue. It is a safe place because it is on a very high column and it is a tall statue, so nobody will be able to harm the bird. So bird thought that the bird should stay there for some time. I will put up here, the bird cried. Cried means it said loudly. It is a fine position. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted. Alighted means came down, rested, just between the feet of the happy prince. Then what the bird decided? The bird decided that for this night at least, the bird will stay near the feet of the happy prince. I shall read the whole paragraph again for you. If there is any problem, you can ask me, kids. Is it okay? I'm reading it again. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived at the city. Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. Then he saw the statue on the tall column. I will put up here, he cried. It is a fine position, with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. I'm moving to the next. Anybody wants to say anything? Uh, the Nishita, do you want me to repeat the whole paragraph again? Okay, I'm just reading it again. I'll just read. If there is any problem, you can raise your hand or you can drop me a message. All day long he flew. He is the bird. So for the whole day, the bird was flying. And at night time, the bird arrived at the city where the statue was. Where shall I put up? Where shall I put up means where should I? At night time, okay. Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. Then he saw the statue on the tall column. I will put up here, there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted. Alighted means when you start flying means you take off. And when they come back. So just between the feet of the happy prince, it goes and sits there. Where shall I stay for this night? The bird was thinking, right? Okay. The next is the statue I had taken for your, so you can see that what kind of a scene is there. So this is all about the statue. I have a golden bed room. Now the bird was very happy. Though the bird cannot get any gold out of it, but the bird was just thinking in a funny manner that, yes, today I have got a golden bed and I'll sleep in a golden bed today. Why golden bed? Because the statue was made of gold. I mean, not exactly with the gold, but it was covered with gold leaves. He said softly to himself as he looked around. As the bird saw here and there, as the bird saw here and there, she looked around and I'm sorry, again and again, I'm calling this bird she because we are in habit of calling the bird she here, but this bird is he. So he prepared to go to sleep. Who prepared to go to sleep? The bird prepared to go to sleep. But just as the bird was putting his head under his wings. You know, how do the birds sleep? They put their head under their wings, on both the wings, under both the wings, and then they sleep. So now this bird was preparing to sleep and was about to put the birds had under the wings, a large drop of water fell on him. So you can imagine the bird was happy, and the bird was happy to think that the bird has got a golden bed today, a very gold bed room she has got. He has got, I mean, he said softly to himself. He looked around and he prepared to go to sleep. But as soon as the bird was going to sleep, just as he was putting up his head under his wings, a large drop of water fell on him. What a curious thing. Underline this curious word and write on the meaning. What a strange thing. Why it was a strange thing? Because the weather was all clear. The sky was clear. There wasn't a single cloud in the sky. It was all bright and cold. And even the stars were visible in the sky. So where is rain coming from? The bird got so shocked and surprised that everything is clear, there is nothing. But where is this water coming from? What a curious thing. What a strange thing. He cried, means he said to himself, there is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. As the bird was just thinking, then another drop fell on him. As soon as the next drop falls on the bird, okay, we'll move on to the next slide, but I'll just read it for you once. If there is any doubt, you can either drop a message or you can raise your hand. I have a golden bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked around, and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wings, a large drop of water fell on him. What a curious thing! He cried. There is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. As was thinking so, another drop fell on the bird. What is the use of a statue if I can't keep the rain off? He said. The bird said that intentionally the bird was trying to sleep under the statue so that it is safe from all other things. So then the bird is thinking that what is the use of the statue? What is the use of the statue if it cannot? Rishikesh, are you saying in something? Rishikesh, do you have any doubt? What is the use of the statue if it cannot save me from the rain? Okay, fine. Thank you, Rishikesh. In 10 minutes, your meeting will over. He said, I must look for a good chimney pot. You know what are chimney pots? Chimney pots are, some vent on the top of the building where the smoke from the fireplace will go out. And I'll show you the pictures also. Tomorrow I'll show you what is that chimney top. And it is always on the top of the house, and it is covered so that no water drop should go inside the house, because this vent is opening in on the top. So it is covered. So she said that, this bird said that it is useless to spend time here under the statue, because the statue cannot save me from rain. So I should go and find out some chimney pot where I can keep myself safe there, and I can protect myself from rain and water. And he determined to fly. He decided, underline determined, this means decided. And he decided to fly away. But before he had opened his wings, but before he could open his wings and try to fly, a third drop fell. One more drop of water comes on his head. And he looked up and saw, and he was surprised. What did he see? What he sees up, it was very surprising for the bird. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell. And he looked up and saw, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears. Now imagine this is a statue only, but there were a lot of tears in the eyes of the prince. So the eyes of the happy prince was filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. Why golden cheeks? Because I have already told you that the statue was made of golden leaves. Statue was exactly not completely gold, only that outer layer it was covered with thin golden leaves. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. When the bird looked at the face of the prince, the face of the statue, it was so beautiful, it was so nice, and it was shining in the moonlight that the bird really was full of pity. Pity is sympathy and kindness towards the statue of the prince. Who are you? The bird asked the statue. The bird said, Who are you? I am the happy prince. Why are you weeping then? Asked the bird. You have quite drenched me. You have quite drenched me is you have completely made me wet. You have completely made me wet. Why are you crying? Why are you weeping then? Asked the swallow. You have quite drenched me. You have made me wet. I'm repeating the whole paragraph, children. I'm reading it. There is any problem, you can tell me. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? He said. I must look for a good chimney pot. And he determined to fly away. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. Who are you? The bird asked the prince. The statue said, I am a happy prince. Why are you weeping then? Means if you are a happy prince, then why are you weeping? You have quite drenched me. Now the prince explains, the statue explains and says, answered, when I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue. When I was alive means when I was living, when I was actually a human being. I had a human heart. My heart was real at that time. I did not know what tears were. Why he did not know what the tears were? Because he was a prince. He was very rich. He was living with all the luxuries. He was living in a palace. And he never knew what unhappiness is, what sorrow is. Because he was given all facilities. He was given all comforts. So he never knew what is tear. So the prince says, when I was alive and had a human heart, I did not know what tears were because I lived in the palace of a king, where sorrow is not allowed to enter. My courtiers are the workers who work in court, maybe ministers, maybe workers, maybe servants or attendants or something. My courtiers called me the happy prince. And all the people who worked in court, they used to call this prince a happy prince. And happy indeed, underline this word indeed, it means really. And happy, really I was. And really I was happy at that time. So I lived. It means I lived very happily. For the whole life I was happy. And so I died. And when I died, even at that time I was happy. So happily I lived and happily I died. And now that I am dead, now I am not in a human form. I am not living now. Only I am living in a form of a statue here. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high. You imagine there was a tall column, there was a tall pillar, and on that very tall pillar, this prince's statue was standing. And see the situation, see the location of the prince's statue. It was so high that now from the height, the prince can see everything what's going around in the kingdom, in the place where the statue is, in the town or city, wherever it is. He says, now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the miseries. Miseries means sadness of my city. And through my heart, though my heart is made of lead because the heart which is made of the statue, it is made of lead. Lead is a metal, and the statue is made of lead metal, but it is covered with golden leaves. It is covered with golden leaves. So the prince and the statue, they says, though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. Though my heart is not a human heart, though it is not so soft like human hearts, but I have no other choice. I have no other choice but only that to weep. I just have to weep. What is he? Not solid gold. Now the bird is again surprised. What? Your heart is not made of gold? Your heart is made of lead? Said the swallow to himself. He was too polite to make any personal remark. Actually, this was a personal question to the prince and his statue, that why your heart is not made of gold? Because your whole statue is looking as if it is made of gold. But the heart is made of lead. He asked the question, which was a little personal to the king, but very politely the bird asked the question. I'm reading it again, children. When I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue, I did not know what tears were. For me, because I lived in the palace where where sorrow is not allowed to enter. My courtiers called me the happy prince, and happy indeed I was. So I lived, and so I died. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the miseries of my city. And though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. What is he? Not what's is he not solid gold? Said the swallow to himself. He was he was too polite to make any personal remarks. Now, children, see, hardly few seconds are left for this, so I'll stop share. If anybody has any problem, I will unmute you, or you can unmute and ask me anywhere, any problem. Quickly, children, this meeting will finish in few seconds.